back from the dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, the countdown has just begun. Are you ready? Let's go.
Now we're back from the dead.
I feel like I literally just walked in the door. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry I was gone all week. I didn't even really have internet access all week. I was doing field production stuff, so I just got back. So I'm super behind on filming and editing and posting, but here we go. I'm also in the process of getting over the flu or something like that. So don't mind that I have a cough drop in and I'm constantly drinking like fluids. I don't like to talk about certain topics unless I get enough people that message me and reach out to me and they're like, Krystal, I'm going through this. I have something that's happening in my life. How do I move past it or accept it, or, do you have any advice? So because I've had several of you guys message me, actually 3 in particular last week, so this might make you guys out there that, reached out to me about this topic feel a little bit better that you're not alone. So to some of you, you may not have reached out to me and you may have gone through or are going through this particular thing. And then some of you might be shocked that this is a real problem that people face when they have loved ones that have passed. So what I'm going to do is share my story and hope that it gives some of you guys some relief and understanding that it's okay to accept it and continue moving forward with your life. I am a big believer in, the requests of loved ones that pass away, what their last requests are, irregardless of, a religious dispute or a family dispute or, anything atypical of that. So if somebody says, I want to be cremated and take me to Egypt, that's a little extreme, but I really believe that you should fulfill what their last wish was, whether it is in a will or not. So this topic will help you guys pertaining to the death of my aunt. So I've told you guys that, my mom and I took care of my aunt, her final days. We were basically taking turns taking care of her down to helping her bathe. It was not a secret that my aunt was in a abusive relationship for the duration of a majority of her life with my uncle. I'm not here to wave my aunt's dirty laundry, and I won't. Mainly because I don't think you should talk about people and their private business unless they're here to back themselves up or, talk about things from their perspective. So obviously when someone passes, the spouse is supposed to get, be the first person in command of how, the burial goes, the funeral, all that stuff. Unfortunately, when people pass away, especially if it's a family member, the ugly comes out in all of your family. And I'm sure all of you have experienced it at least once. Like if there's like finances involved, if they think that they're leaving a will with like millions of dollars and cars, like everyone's gonna like latch on with their claws because they want their piece of the pie. So the day my aunt crossed over, my cousin broke into my aunt and uncle's house and she ended up stealing all of my aunt's belongings, including her jewelry, wedding rings, China doll collection, anything and everything that you can think of, my cousin stole. So I know the first thing in your head you're going to think, oh, well, she was afraid she wasn't going to get something. Well, no, that's not true. My aunt really didn't have anything to will anyone. And my cousin was also on drugs at the time. I'm not sure if she still is. We don't talk anymore. So maybe it was, to pawn or to sell for a drug habit. Irregardless, she broke in the house the exact moment that myself, my uncle, and my mother were at the funeral home She knew no one was going to be home, and that's when she broke in. We never recovered those items. In the meantime, we had decided to have a funeral. My aunt was the kind of person, in fact, everyone in my family is the kind of person, they don't want like a big spectacle. They don't want like a big show. My family is the type of people, I'm the same way. Don't mourn my death, celebrate my death. You don't have to have this big depressing, parade. Be excited, be happy, that my next chapter, is beginning, and it's not the end, and it's more of a happy event versus sad, depressing, crying. Of course, people are still going to mourn naturally, but my family just sees it differently. So in the meantime, my aunt wanted to be cremated, which she was, and she wanted to be put in the Colorado River, which is in Colorado. It's one of her favorite places that they would camp, when she was younger. My uncle, I don't know, at some point, just, towards the end when my aunt was really sick and really dying, my uncle kind of straightened up for the first time, and he stopped, with the abusive ways. But, abuse isn't always physical. It can also be mental and emotional. And so when he realized my aunt wasn't doing well, he kind of straightened up. And then after my aunt died, something clicked again, and he decided that, he had her cremated. He didn't want her ashes. He didn't want to go to the Colorado River. He didn't want to deal with it. And on a normal basis, the ashes would go to the next of kin. And in this case, the next of kin would have been my mother, which is my aunt's sister. My uncle did not give them to my mother. He literally gave them away like they were yesterday's trash to the same cousin that broke in his own house and stole his belongings and his wife's belongings. Why, I don't have an answer. I really don't know. My uncle and my aunt had a very toxic relationship, and I don't think he had necessarily picked this person as a favorite. I think he just wanted to get rid of my aunt's ashes. By the way, I'm not looking for pity. I'm not looking for anyone to, talk badly about my family, even my uncle or my cousins. I'm just sharing my story. Let me get to the end. So in the meantime, this was 6 years ago, my mother and I became livid when we found out that A, my aunt's last requests were not going to be fulfilled, and B, there's one person that they probably should have never gone to. In the meantime, this cousin that got the ashes decides she doesn't want them either. So she sends them to another cousin in the mail, via mail. And this other cousin claims that she put the ashes in the Atlantic Ocean because she lives on the East Coast. Well, my mom and I were distraught because my aunt never, had visited the East Coast. My aunt and my family on my mom's side is from Kansas City, Missouri originally, and then they went to Denver, Colorado, and it's like, why would you put her in the ocean, So my mom and I became very bitter. My mother and I were sickened at the fact of the whole dysfunctional mess, and we didn't understand the cold-heartedness behind it, and why you wouldn't respect someone's wishes. They're gone. Respect them. And so for many years, my mother and I walked around extremely bitter about this. We are completely disconnected from most of this section of the family for this reason. Personally, I don't hate them. I just think they're dysfunctional. I think they've always been. So people will ask me, do I forgive them for it? I don't really need to forgive them because I feel like whoever you face on the other side, you can do justice with them on that side. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, my mother and I, we would just mourn and feel so bad for my aunt. And my mom and I would look at the ceiling and be like, Aunt Jean, I'm so sorry, that you had to go through this. And I'm so sorry you were disrespected and not honored and everything else. And finally, a couple of years ago, something really weird happened. It was nearing my aunt's birthday. And I was just upset. I feel like holidays and death anniversaries and birthday anniversaries trigger those feelings more of anger. So it's around her birthday and I'm getting really upset about it again, and it's out of my control, completely out of my control. And I had this really amazing dream of my aunt, and I don't even think it was a dream. I am completely convinced it was real. My aunt came to me, and she basically was like, very stern. My aunt never got mad. She was a pretty mellow person overall. So in the dream, for her to approach me with kind of a hammer, sort of attitude of like, you're gonna listen to me, I was kind of taken back because that's not the personality of my aunt. And so in the dream, my aunt was like, you've got to let this go. You and your mother need to let this go. She was like, I'm gone. Those ashes aren't me. That isn't who I am. I am here in your heart. I am moved on to the next section of my life. That was just, the vessel, whatever you want to use terminology, I was borrowing for that life journey. That isn't me. You guys are wasting energy and time, being upset and stressed and angry about the situation. And she goes, you need to just let it go. She's like, I don't want you to carry around this like anger and hatred, in your heart forever, because you're not focusing on the good times that we had, and the lessons that I taught you as a aunt and then as a sister to your mother. And she goes, you need to let this go. And I woke up. And the dream was so vivid. I remember every second of it. It was a conversation her and I had. And so I woke up and I went and told my mom. I said, Mom, I had this dream. And my mom looks at me and she goes, I had the exact same dream. And we compared everything and we had the exact same dream that same night. So my mom and I had to kind of take a break and look at each other and we were like, are you ready to let this go? And we were like, yeah, I'm ready to let this go. That's not my aunt that I knew my whole life. That's not, her sister for her entire life. It sucks. It doesn't mean that what these people did was justified. It doesn't mean you have to forgive them. It doesn't make it okay. I really truly feel that our loved ones on the other side, because I communicate with mine on a almost daily basis, I really truly don't think they would want you to be angry and bitter and not being able to progress as a human, because us ourselves have our own life paths that we have to cross and our journeys, whatever that is, whether it's raising children and being a wonderful mother or, being a successful business person or following your dreams or all of the above. We have to be in control of our own journeys. And although family, or loved ones cross over that we wish were still here, that doesn't mean they're gone forever. And obsessing about something like that, it can throw you off because you get in a deep state of depression and you're upset, and then you emit that energy that I've told you guys about, like being angry, and then it affects everything in your life every single day. And it sucks. And I'm not saying that it's justified, because it's not justified, but you also don't know the mental state that the people are in that have done this, which isn't justified either, but they could be going through something or a process of dealing with the death of this person as well, which is why they give the ashes away and don't care about it and move on or whatever. So the biggest thing is focusing on yourself, understanding that, yes, you wish there was a final resting place for this person, whether it's spreading their ashes as their wishes or if it's just giving them like a headstone and a grave spot. That's okay. You just have to remember they're here. Being in your heart and holding the memories close to you that you have, the happy times. And, meditation's really great, and asking your guides to help you communicate with them in dreams or in a safe place if you're meditating. That takes practice, but you can do it. You guys need to look into a little bit more. But seriously, watch for signs too, not just dreams, but I've told you my grandmother comes around and it's like heavy perm solution. So watch for signs. I bet you guys that, your loved ones interact with you more than you realize. You have to be open to it and willing to communicate. I'm sad that this is such a common occurrence. When it happened with my aunt, I thought it was just a 1 in a million event. And then so many of you are messaging me about, how do I feel better about this? How do I get my ashes back from, my cousin or whoever? You know what? You have to remember that you're only in control of you. You're only in control of your own life, your own emotions. And the only change that you're in control of is your own. You cannot force other people to be somebody that they're not, or be someone that you want them to be. So the only thing you can change is yourself and your attitude and the way you see things. So don't count on getting those ashes back, but you need to accept that is not your cousin, your mother, your aunt. It's not them. They are here and they're still living on, just in a different form. I hope this helps, because I really struggled for a long time, and so did my mom. And so I really understand what you guys are going through, and I'm sorry that it's such a shitty thing that it's something that we as humans have to experience. I've also seen ashes get extremely disrespected with Christian. When Christian died, they think that he was on drugs and ended up shooting himself in the head, and he was cremated. And there were people disrespecting his ashes at his funeral because it was kind of like a hippie free-for-all, which isn't my thing. And his brother and I got to take some of the ashes, and his brother ended up taking them and spreading them up on the ski resort in, I think it was Breckenridge is where they took Christian. And that was a really special moment that I got to have with Ian, because no one else was really caring what they were going to do, with Christian's ashes. And that's really hard seeing that happen. But that's still not them, And then for Christian's case, at least Ian got half of them, and he was able to put part of Christian to rest for a proper resting place, because Christian loved snowboarding. So there's always happy endings, but you have to find the happiness in it. And for me, it was my aunt coming to tell me, stop. You have to stop. You have to remember the good times. And you're stopping your own growth, and you're stopping your own life path by not accepting this and moving on. Have you guys had this experience before? Have you gone through this where there's like disrespect of a loved one, and it sucks, and I'm so sorry, and I just want you guys to know it's gonna be okay. I've lost so many family and friends, but I can promise you that it's gonna be okay. It could take time, but time does heal. It doesn't make you forget, and it doesn't always make you forgive, but it does heal. Just reach out vocally to your guides or to your loved ones and say, I miss you, I love you. And I just want you to know that. I hope this helps, guys. Please give my video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please leave me good comments below on what you guys want to chat about next. I promise I won't be absent from social media this week. I'm sorry. I promise it'll get better. Follow me on social media, and I will catch you guys next time.
We're back from the dead. Back from the dead. Back from the dead.